Hey guys, how's it going? It's Kire here with another Infinite Magicraid video. Joined once again with Veiled Shot here. I believe this is the first time I had him on this channel for this game. So thanks for joining. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's been a while. We had to take a little bit of a break there. We had the Diablo Immortal stint, and then we all kind of went our own little ways.
So I figured this issue slash what's going on in the game would be a good time to bring someone on and we'd be able to discuss what's going on because I feel like the issues with this event require a conversation. Like they're a little bit more nuanced than just like this is bad. And plus, I don't like the negativity of that too. I feel like there's a lot of good and bad. And situations like these, it's easy to just really focus on the negative and just kind of bums people out, in my opinion. At least it bums me out.
Yeah, 100%. I usually do like a 3-step criteria when I'm looking at events. Like, okay, how engaging is it? Like, is the content actually engaging? Do I have to like build different teams? Whatever it is. If I do have to do that, the second part is it rewarding? And then the third part is like, are the mechanics encouraging me to have fun in the game? Because I feel like that third point is kind of my issue with this event, to be honest.
So I feel like right now, so to kind of fill people in, Christmas party event going on. We had the Halloween event. People are playing from then, and the big criticism of that event because they pitch it as this thing to be able to get a legendary Dragon Eye, something that would normally cost $100 in game. You only get one guaranteed as a free-to-play player. Any other way would be having to pull the copy of another legendary. So these are very hard things to get. And so they really sell you on like, okay, there's going to be one of these available. They'll say that it's available for most of the player base. And then turns out they make the event incredibly difficult, which is such a bummer for this. And then that was the feedback for the Halloween event. Then they did the exact same thing here. And if not, they doubled down on it, made it way harder in this event. But they did make one change where they added a buff system because I believe that was not there for the Halloween one. I'm almost positive it wasn't. So it's like in a vacuum, I do like this change where you have a buff system, but they didn't. First of all, having a hard event for a Christmas event, I just don't think is good design for what a Christmas event should be. It should be like a celebration of playing the game. This is a fun time. Maybe you give out some rewards for people. You thank people for playing the game. You have relatively good rewards slash maybe really good packs or something like that, but you don't make it this crazy hard event, especially the thing that you're trying to sell on, like, wow, this is really awesome, and then you make it super hard to get. I think that's terrible, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's there's two parts of this. There's the whole, okay, should every event give you free rewards? No, but then there's like the holiday events, right? And the holiday events are usually like bigger, grander, usually more engaging and more rewarding. Now, the problem we have here is that, objectively speaking, if you compare it to the Halloween event, this is just way harder. Like if you even compare the levels, I believe the max level in that one was like 240 or 280, and this one's 360 if I'm not mistaken. So the stats are way higher. The speed's 2600. It's crazy, insane to actually be able to beat it. But as you said, there's the buff system. So to me, the buff system and that whole aspect is actually more fun than the Halloween event. The problem with the buff system, and I think this is kind of the key kicker, is one, they balanced it purely around the buff system, so it's necessary 100%. And I think it's tuned a little bit too high. And it also costs you gems, which seems like counterintuitive to a fun event. Like this is supposed to be, to me at least, an event that everyone, regardless of if you're day 1, day 100, participate in, enjoy, and at least get something out of it. And you could argue that you could based on the first and second, but I think that they should have either moved the rewards around, like put the Legendary Dragon Eye up front, and then more rewards later on if you've been progressing the game decently, or just make it so that the buff system's a little bit more fleshed out and you can get much easier.
Yeah. Like I feel like in a vacuum, a hard event like this would actually be pretty cool. And I think this system is better than what they did for the Halloween one, where it was just a flat amount of here's the difficulty. It's a little harder for people that are going to be able to do it, but there's no way to progress besides making your character stronger, which takes a long time. That's just how these games work. Whereas the buff system at least gives us an option to be able to artificially boost up our characters to be able to forcibly do this. And we do over time get a ton of buffs. So it is totally possible. And I think a lot of people were not expecting this, and especially with the feedback they were given. But now that we see this, now that we understand it, I think this is still better than what we had before, but still overtuned. This is crazy hard. And the big failure here is this shouldn't have been in a Christmas event or any kind of seasonal event. And then when it comes to this too, they should have told us like, or explained it in the UI better, that it's about the buff system and it's tuned around the buff system so we can understand that and go forward. And then lastly, regardless of what they were intending, I shouldn't be having to spend gems if I'm waiting the 4 hours. You know, if you want to rush it out, cool. And if they want to make a punishment for being able to force this out faster, fine. But it shouldn't always mean that I have to spend 100 gems for this, in my opinion. And I think that's a fair, you know, kind of give or take here, where it's like, okay, if you want to make it this hard and then also give us the buff system too, to be able to like actually punch up and beat this, it shouldn't be able to cost the gems unless we're forcibly doing it fast, in my opinion. I think that's like a fair compromise. And then also, if they're going to do something hard like this, don't lump these in with Christmas and Halloween. Do these on your own terms and make it kind of, you know, market in a way where it's not like a seasonal thing, or that we're going to get this legendary Dragoneye. And I believe they said in interviews or Q&As that everyone will be able to do this, or it's going to be, they're going to make it accessible, if I'm not mistaken, which I think it was just at worst a blatant lie, because this is insanely hard. And so I don't know, do you know, did you see anything like that? I don't know if that was the case.
So I think it's misleading. I don't think they lied. I think they misled. Because what they basically did was like, okay, we have Christmas events coming. We have a lot of free-to-play things coming. You're going to get 50 free mythic shards. You're going to get more eggs, right? And we got most of those. We only got 25 so far, mythic shards. So it looks like we're going to get another 25 maybe in the next month or so. But that was like the advertising, right? That was like, okay, we're going to get a bunch of free-to-play resources. And then along that note was the Christmas events. So it felt like, okay, if you're free to play, you can get these rewards. But it's more like if you've been playing the game since day one, you can do it. But even if you have been, the rates looks to be like 2,000 to 5,000 gems spent to get your legendary Dragoneye. Granted, you're going to get the eggs and everything too. So it's like, it's still worth it. Like I would spend 5,000 gems for a legendary Dragoneye. But it just felt a little misleading, which is why I think a lot of people have a problem with it, right? Like if people just said, "Oh, we're going to give you a legendary Dragoneye, and you're going to have to spend 4,000 gems for," people are like, "Okay, like yeah, that's cool."
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, it's like all this stuff
can do that.
Is good. Like to be honest, I think nothing about this event is wrong except how they presented it and then managing people's expectations. They made it a timed event, so there's like FOMO. It's Christmas event. People are not really looking to sweat on a Christmas thing. Like people are not going to be using this time to like, okay, I'm really going to want to play this game a ton when they're potentially with family, they have time off, stuff like that. That's the last thing that they're going to want to be doing, you know, when it comes to this. And I think 99% of people are going to be really turned off by this event. But if they framed it better, I think people would have really liked this event. And they'd be like, wow, this is something that is challenging. And for people that have strong accounts, they're rewarded by not having to spend as many gems. Everyone feels rewarded because eventually if they put the time in, they can get a really good item that's normally incredibly rare or just impossible to get. So it could have been significantly better. And then another thing too I want to highlight is I really like the aspect of being able to choose your boss. Because if people don't know, you can, based on who you pick is going to determine who you face the opposite, whether it be the reindeer or Nicholas. And I think a big issue in this game is just being gated artificially by your characters. And I like that other mechanic where it's like, okay, maybe my characters match up better with Rudolph, or maybe my characters match up better with Nicholas. And I think that's a nice way to make a difficult event a little easier, is if you get to choose that boss. And so it's like so many of the things that they implemented in this, I really like actually. But the main thing I don't like is how they presented it and the timing that they delivered this.
Yeah. And on your point, I actually agree. I think that the event's fine. Now, me personally, I make daily content for so many different channels, but I'm taking a break on Christmas. Like, I'm going to go and hang out with family. I'm going to have a day off. And people are going to do that. And to be honest, you might be missing out on something. If you're not like prepping your account, making sure you're getting the gems every day, you might not have enough resources to be able to finish this event, to be honest, because they're quite expensive. 1,000 gems or 2,000 gems is not that easy to get for free to play within a week's time span. You could definitely do it, but you'd have to be consistently playing and all that good stuff. And to me, the bigger problem, actually, as I mentioned, don't really mind the event too much. The dungeons are totally fine. The space temple, whatever you want to call it, you should be able to beat it because you're going to get 40 rerolls based on like the hours in the day. So you don't have to reroll it with gems. You just have to spend the gems on the buffs themselves. But to me, along with the Christmas event, has like a big mainstay is the new champions, right? Nicholas and Rudolph. So I want to propose a question here. How do you feel about the Nicholas and the exclusive part about that? Is that something you've been thinking about, or does that deserve its own video?
Well, I feel like this. I don't think it deserves its own video, but it is a big problem, and I think it's something that we should address here too, because this is just, at worst, this is just like blatant pay to win mechanics in a very timed event like this, and then blatantly an obvious character. Because I think they got a big pass on the previous one because Little Jack was not that good of a character. It's because he wasn't that big of a deal. No one really pulled for him. So then it wasn't that big of a deal that you can't level him up with Dragon Eyes. And now you have a character here in Nicholas who is at E0, probably, what do you think, like top 15? If he's just like an easier character here, he's good. Don't get me wrong, he's like a very good character. He's one of the better characters in the game. But with multiple exclusives, he's absolutely busted. He's super good, especially when you get his E3 here, where it makes a Christmas surprise. And then he also gives this Christmas apple thing where he's boosting the effects of surprise. And he's, I believe, like not allowing people to die. Like they gain immunity to death and restore HP, which is hilarious. And then you have a combination of a 40% shield on a 3-turn cooldown and a speed down. So that's like one of the better effects of Elena, one of the basically the best part of Whim combined into one move here. And then you're extending freezes as well. So it's like with a speed down. So you're manipulating speed. He's, making everyone stronger. Like he's just the more money you're willing to spend on this, the better he's going to get. And then also you're pressured into having to, go in, because after this event, you're done. You can't level them up anymore. Whatever you end with on this event, you're done, which I think is also another problem too. I understand that it's a business and they want to make money, but this is a really bad way to do it. I don't think people are going to like this style. It feels very scummy, in my opinion. So it's like, there's ways you can do stuff like this where you can release broken characters or obviously strong characters in a way that doesn't feel like this. When you tie someone like this to a Christmas event with a high pressure situation and you can literally never touch him again, I don't like that at all. I think if like you get lucky, let's say you're just a free to play player, you get lucky, you beat Pity, you get him, and then he's never going to get upgraded again. He's stuck at this level. I think I don't like that. Like there's a lot of levels to that I don't like.
Yeah, I have a hot take about this because I agree with you. I agree that I don't like the fact that you can't exclusive him outside of getting dupes. But I see a lot of arguments out there that I disagree with, and that's why people will hear it. They're like, "Oh man, you disagree with the whole thing?" The nuanced takes, as we like to say. People will say, "Oh, but the pay to wins are just going to get way stronger. The gap is going to increase." That's always people's mentality. I personally hate this argument because I think the gap is so big between like the Krakens. Like when you consider people like Bailey or Karzak out there that have these accounts and they showcase them where like thousands of dollars are poured in. They have the exclusive Vive characters. They have all this stuff. And then you compare that to someone like, just a base account free to play or even low spender like myself. I'm not going to be able to compete with them. There's nothing I can do, even if that character didn't exist, or even if they made it so that you could exclusive him with just the Dragon Eyes. That doesn't close the gap. That doesn't increase it's just never going to come close. But the argument that I personally have is that it's anti-fun and anti-free to play. Not because it's, not like closing the gap or whatever. That's not really what my perspective is. I can't manage my account to benefit from a strong character. I can't control where my resources go because it literally doesn't let me. And as a free-to-play player, I can't get rewarded for planning my account well in the past by having this wish set up for a good character and then being able to invest my resources into him. I don't like that aspect. I don't like extra limitations on being able to manage our accounts because, I mean, one of the biggest problems in this game is fodder, which is already considered a limitation on building your account, right? So when they start to add things like, okay, dupes only or something like that, it just kind of feels not fun. And that's my biggest problem with it. Like, what is the big deal except for having people like just spend an absolute buttload and then making it super exclusive? It's just making or letting people go ahead and invest their Dragonites. Like, I don't think there's going to be a ton of people that are like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I can't put Dragonites into this guy, so now I'm going to spend thousands of dollars to get 4 copies of him. Like, I don't think people are going to make that
Yeah.
swap. So it just doesn't make much
Uh-huh.
sense to me.
Yeah, I don't like that aspect too, and I like that point about it where it's anti free to play in the sense that even if you are really diligent about saving your wish shards and then also have it planned, let's say you have your third one saved, like you've been managing it and you're like, okay, this is finally a character good enough for doing that. Because normally when you do that, once you get the character, then you can wait a long time until you can maybe get an exclusive Dragon Eye. In this case scenario, it would happen at the same time where you have the event plus you have this. And I feel like a lot of free to play, that would be an encouraging thing. Like free to players can look at that and like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure I wait for this awesome character. I planned for this. I waited, 4 months, 5 months for this to happen and you get rewarded. Whereas this really shuts that down. Where it's like, even if you do get the character, okay, good luck getting another one. You're not going to get another copy. It's just not going to happen. So I think that's a bummer, definitely a bummer there. And I think a lot of this too is like, we don't have the data. Like I agree with you. I think intuitively, it sounds like that's something that wouldn't happen. Where it's like them limiting that wouldn't cause all these people to like, okay, I wouldn't have spent, but now you're limiting my ability to do the Phantom Dragon Eye on this character. So now I'm going to spend like $2,000 and get a fully maxed one. Like, I really don't think that the ROI is there for that decision, except all it's doing is just pissing off the people that want to enjoy the game. Like I really don't think that adds up. And if we saw the actual numbers, it would probably prove that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. It kind of reminds me of Diablo Immortal. Is like the price points are like either you get 2 copies, right? Like 1 copy, I could probably get one. I'm a low spender. Granted, it's a 1 out of 5 chance, right? So even if you have your wish available, it's a 1 out of 5 chance to get the legendary that you wanted. So already RNG, 20% chance. And then I might be able to get a second copy. And second copy is where like, okay, I feel like I'd use this character in a decent amount of places. But realistically, like you'd want that third copy to make him that really rewarding. Like if you get 1 cop or 2 copies, I think I'd rather still have his Zanya for a lot of dungeon content and a lot of Tower Mark or even a lot of faction, like basically every content in the game, his Zanya is just so good for. And you can Dragon Eye him. But if we're talking like the difference between 1 or 2 copies and 4, we're talking literally thousands of dollars because these are miracle summons. To get 100 of them is like $100, and you have to guarantee the chance, right? You have to like get your legendary, and it has to be a 1 in 5 chance, which means you have to summon 5 legendaries, or at least 3 to get the one you actually want. Which means you're going to need to summon 9, legendaries or 9 things more, which is an insane amount of money. And that's where like the big thing is. It's like it's an all or nothing type thing. Either you're going to spend an absolute cracking out, you're just going to get 1 copy or nothing. That's kind of the perspective here, which feels like I like the middle ground. I like the advantages for low spenders. I feel like that lends to a more healthy game. And it just doesn't feel like in this event particularly that's not really reflected.
Yeah, because also it's easy to like when it comes to these, like obviously I don't think many people like this event, but at the same time when you compare this, because like then there's like the thing that I get annoyed with, just kind of taking a step back when it comes to this, is like what should happen, what shouldn't happen, whatever's going on with the games, because like it's really hard to quantify what should or shouldn't happen. Like the only thing we can really point to is like competition, what the competition is doing. And for 99% of things, I would say this game's beating as a beating Raid. Shadow Legends that's probably the biggest competition, but in most quality of life things, in most like for the consumer things, this game's winning. But at the same time, this is definitely an issue that I don't think many people are going to like. We can hopefully give them the feedback. Hopefully they listen to the feedback. I think the big thing is it feels like they didn't because they made the event harder, but I think they kind of did because of the buff system. So it's like the buff system is actually good. I think if they tune it a little bit, but keep the buff system, I think we have a good middle ground there that I think people would like. It's challenging, yes, but we get a good reward at the end of it. I just think that, hopefully they don't tie this to future holidays. Make the holiday fun. And then make the sweaty stuff happen on a random, okay, we're going to have a big event for their own purposes. So it's like, I don't know. Hopefully, I kind of want to have, the big thing for me is I just don't like it when bad thing happens and then we just dunk on the bad thing. And then it just becomes this negative circle jerk of like, this is terrible. And then it's like 3 comments are like, this is why I'm quitting or stuff like that. And like, I think the biggest thing is it's like, there's other games out there. If this is a big enough deal for you, play other games. Like that's the best way to stick it to them, not spend money and play other games, but when we if we want to play the game, if you already made the decision to not quit, let's have it fun. Let's make this an enjoyable experience, still give them criticism, but at the same time, keep it positive.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why I'm actually too down on the event personally. I actually, I feel for the people that aren't going to get the Dragon Eye because there are more people that are not going to get this Dragon Eye than the Halloween. That's true. Based on my anecdotal and analytics just out there with my comments, the Discord message, all that type of stuff. There's more people that are not going to get it this time. But that's why my bigger problem is actually the fact that they release these event heroes alongside these events. They make it locked behind, just summoning the characters, which I think is just like locking that character. And that's why I don't like that. But as for the event, I actually think it's quite enjoyable. I know some people hate the stupid arrows and turning them around. I've seen so many complaints that are like, screw this. But, that's I think people are like, I want more difficult events, more challenging events. And I think they did something unique here with like the little quizzing stuff. And you choose the red house, blue house. I think it's fun.
I want to talk about that because that is the weirdest thing ever. It's a Christmas event because, first of all, I don't read any of the story. I don't know anything that's going on. And then I had to do a double take where it was like Catherine was murdered by like a snow cone or some shit. And it was so weird. Yeah. And then I was like, wait, what is going on here? And then there's another situation where it's a witch named like Sunset or like something like that. It was like you could tell that was not that was not translated correctly. It would be like just random object was the name of this witch, and you had to determine which one like stole her cat, and then the one that stole her cat, she eats the kid. Like, what is going on here? Like, I'm not even making this up. This is so weird. And then you have to like, did you read any of this? Like, this is it's so bizarre.
It was way violent. Is what I got from it. It's like, why is this so violent? Like my Christmas tree is burning up because I'm too slow. Like it's like
there's that. Oh, there's another one where it was one of the help was murdered but like stabbed 12 times and then it missed all the vital organs and so they bled out. But then the blood is like kind of faint and you have to determine who killed the person. Was it Nicholas or was it Rudolph? And I'm like, well, it's Rudolph.
It's the icicle melted. The icicle melted, which just looted the. I know exactly the one you're talking about because I remember that. Like, what the heck? Wait, what?
This is so brutal.
Take too.
Yeah,
because I remember I ran through. I was like, I'll just pick whatever. I don't care. And then I got the 40% HP reduction. And they're like, it was actually this one because the icicle diluted the blood. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, right. So that's where it woke up for you. Yeah, it was the one. And then so I started like looking at them, and then I was like, well, what am I doing? What game am I playing here? Like, is there context I missed? Like in the previous one? So I went back to the first stage to understand. Nothing. No, you get no chaser. It just goes straight into murder investigation on Christmas. It's like, I don't know. We're set in the world of like Violent Night, like that movie that's come out where Santa just is like John Wick, basically. I don't know what the hell happened. Like who thought of this, but pretty funny.
Yeah, I wonder if this is one of those things where it's like you just have a cultural difference because it's like they don't celebrate Christmas the same way we do or at all. It's like
it'll be fun. It'll be a fun little murder investigation. Die Hard was set on Christmas. They probably like it's all good. Yeah, it's fine. So I thought that was weird. I don't know how I feel about that, but that was definitely weird about it, because maybe that's why they don't get it, because they don't really celebrate it. So then that's why we're thinking fun, but then they're like, "What? Whatever. We'll just put whatever event." Maybe it's a cultural difference there. Maybe we need to give them a little bit more credit. They had no idea. They're like, "Oh, they really take Christmas seriously. They're with family. Like, they don't even celebrate Christmas. They have no idea. They just slapped it on."
This feels like more of a Halloween event than a
Yeah,
Christmas event. I'll say
I know,
that.
right? Yeah, horror. Seeing the speeds like go up as they go in. Like, this would have fit way better on the, as they get, we got
I'm still
murder.
waiting for my second and third speed boost to beat the event, because I
Yeah,
refuse to
good luck.
refresh for gems.
Here, I'll show you all the buffs that I use. Also, tip for people still watching. I think picking Rudolph is better because Santa's easier, in my opinion. Because I have Ben Austin who can remove buffs. If you can't remove buffs, then maybe they're both hard. I don't know. But when it comes to here, let me read off all the buffs I needed to be able to beat this. So I have 15. So I got 15% HP, a 10% speed, 60% off the intermediates, another 40% right here, and then increased healing, increased mastery, more hit, but then also 60% defense, another 60% HP, another 60% crit damage, and then 80% crit rate. It took that, and I still couldn't beat Rudolph. So then I decided to reset it and go against Nicholas, and then one-shot Nicholas. So I don't think Nicholas takes as many of these did, but I literally couldn't beat Rudolph.
I'll be interested to see, because I'm in a unique circumstance, because I can run in them as long as I'm fast enough. I can go Sigmund, Melia, Hizanya, one shot the whole wave. Like, there's I just win, right? Like, I could just HP burn, and then detonate the HP burns. Doesn't matter how much health they have; it all hits the same. It's just going to hit for percentage of their HP. So I'm not really too worried about that for the most part. Obviously, HP burns do have a cap, but you usually won't reach those against these guys.
Well, they have like 7 million. Like, can you do 7 million on the side minions? And then the other guy, I think, is 20 million for Rudolph. But like, Rudolph hits like an absolute truck. I think I got one shot through a shield, through an attack down, stuff like that. So it's like, I think that was at buff 10, whatever. But it was definitely, it's a lot. It's a lot, and I understand people's frustrations, because I was definitely unexpected. But if we had some kind of warning that this was like, here's some hard event here, and we have to get these buffs for it, then I think people would have, been okay with the difficulty. I don't know. So I think, is there any other points you want to make when it comes to this? Because I think this is definitely a controversial event here. I think we covered the big things here when it comes to the event, obviously, and then also the issues with summoning for Nick.
I'll say one thing. Now, this is kind of off topic, because we just got the patch notes preview. So I don't know when you're releasing this video, but if it's going to be in the next couple hours or whatever, or
here, let's do another video for that. Let's do another. Let's actually.
There you go. Let's do another video for that.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up here, guys. It's been real. Go to sub to one of 6 Veiled Shot channels here. I'll link him down below. He plays a lot of games. He covers a lot of them. So I'll be sure to link those down in the comments below. Thanks for joining me. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I am. Peace.